Good morning to all of us, and I'm very pleased to be here. I would like to acknowledge the invitation, and I am going to share some reflections about this subject. At first, if you go into those challenges which are related to climate change and food sovereignty, we can see you have more than just those 2 points. To achieve sustainable food sovereignty in a changing world with a growing population, changing diets, and changing climate, it's a quite hard task, mainly because we are also under a new science environment. So to tackle with this challenge, we have to make a lot of changes which we are not very well prepared to do. And how innovations in agroforestry research can contribute to achieve these challenges. This is a question we have to go into each of the slides because it's a challenge which has no just one direction, one address. At first, if you go into food sovereignty, you have some details, we have some points which make us a challenge, to face a challenge more than you think just about food security. So you have to think more on more than just to offer food. So we have to connect this with ecologically sound, sustainable methods. And we have also to go into how, where this food is available and what kind of system you are using in this area. And also, we have to think how the human population is growing with respect of the balance of developed and undeveloped countries. So what does this mean if you face this challenge of climate change and food sovereignty in this scenario? The changing diets are also quite important because we don't have just one direction of changing diets. We have one direction which goes the revision of meat consumption that changes a little bit in some places. People who used to eat meat is changing due to a lot of health problems with important reflection in policies, the occupation with livestock, but also we have some emerging countries which are changing the demand for processed foods, and this changes also a lot of ideas about land use, the meat, the whole of the meat, and this is quite important in countries where the deforestation, the soybean production is increasing, so it's not easy and a single thing. And we have a lot of challenge now about how to improve forest food challenges, how to take advantage of what is offered by natural vegetation, which is increasing in the very few years. And the new challenges associate also with alternatives of diets which were not well discussed before. And all of those have a strong reflection if you think about agroforest systems, mainly if you talk about the tropical countries. Also, many meetings, many summits are raising very important points, like the Planet Under Pressure 2012, which raises the risk and the opportunity issues. The risk of threatening of water, food, biodiversity, and critical resources, but also the opportunity that we are at one point, you have a lot of options to go ahead. New ideas can be spread quickly with the media. So you are always with this compromise. The IPCC report, in the last one, it has a clear idea about the role of human being in this changing world, and also about what are the key factors we have to have in mind for the next few years, just to see at which extent we can mitigate the scenario which is close to us. Every day we have a lot of news about very recent signs of climate change, which are directed us if we have just a urgent need to change a lot of behavior, a lot of plans and policies. So we have to think about this, wake up before it's too late. So this has a lot of implications about our issue with agroforest systems. The resilience of climatic extremes is a clear point. We have already some results about the agroforest as a solution, as one of the points to be thought in policies for mitigating or even for recovering very extreme events. The Anthropocene is one thing which is raising the comments about, and is something which is more serious thought than just all, if you think isolatedly of climate change or other signs. This is a very important point in the history of humanity, and we have to think about bringing a new responsibility to science, people, institutions, and government. And after a lot of things are being written these last years about this, and some of them point about which characteristics might be thought if you think about the Anthropocene situation. So the systems might be productive, efficient, restorative, climate-friendly, equitable, prestigious, resilient, compatible, diverse, communicate, and organized. So these are some ingredients we have to think about agroforest systems in this new moment. After this, the point about the Anthropocene idea, a lot of new ideas are coming, many controversial ones, ideas about the theory of Anthropocene. One of them is the anthropogenic biomes of the world that makes a lot of difference if you think about agroforest systems. So like in Brazil, for instance, I am showing a slide with part of some biomes, like the Amazon biome is the Cerrado biome. And we have the pristine areas, and we have the anthropogene diverse areas. So what are the implications of this to innovation in agroforestry? A lot of signs of recognition of agroecology as an approach towards the security, food security and agricultural sustainability. After the agriculture and crossroads of the International Assessment of Agricultural Knowledge, Science, Technology and Development in 2009, and the very well-known report of Olivier Deschutes, a lot of institutions are coming to a new moment, bringing agroecology to the agenda. And for sure, this is a quite important point to agroforestry, since mainly for the tropical areas, agroforestry seems to be one of the best ways to exercise about agroecology. So if you go, for instance, into Amazon region, we have two major groups of agroforest experiences. We have some with a lot of extractivist component, and the other which is more with organized agroforest systems. Both of them are very good examples which could go into agroecology agendas. The concept of climate-smart agriculture raised by FAO where the trees are key components also. It's another way to think about the role of agroforests in sustainability agendas which are presented. So we have a lot of possibilities of thinking about agroecology and the agroforestry systems in the framework of agroecology, going into the adaptation scenario. The large concept of development, which is coming strongly, like Lydia Brito from UNESCO is pointing out about trying to be more inclusive to people, centered in people, has a lot of possibilities also in this line. Another quite important point to think about innovation, research innovation, agroforestry at this moment is how, which I mentioned at the beginning, is how also we are facing a change in science. So we had a turning point recently where you don't have much more isolated persons, isolated groups working research. So you have a tendency of papers and very important documents with a large number of researchers. And to tackle this situation, this multiple vision, we need to have to face all those wide challenges like climate change and food sovereignty. You can't do isolated. So you have to go into a new dynamics of research. How the research institutions are reacting. So CGIAR and with all the centers are in a very intense campaign of trying to change to face this new scenario. If you go into the programs for each country, you can follow the signs of change also. For instance, in France, INRA, which is a national institution for research in France, is undergoing a lot of modifications just to face this moment and bringing agroecology and also bringing the idea of trees in the program. At Embrapa, where I work, there's a Brazilian network for research. We are having a lot of effort on that. So we have a change in the whole program of research. We have sort of portfolios and arrangements which are trying to put together a lot of projects associated with big issues. And this, for sure, is a new moment for thinking agroforest as countrywide, but mainly in areas like the Amazon region. So you have a good space for natural resource, climate change. We have food security and nutrition health also. And we have some opportunities to put together this in big agendas. What I can say now, we have actually, at this point, we have to think in innovation, not just the innovation associated to technologies and processes. We have to think of this technology and process from the perspective you are being demanded at this moment, with all these interconnected issues and also with this very dynamic possibilities of science working together with people from one institution to the other, where the modeling and the monitoring tools need to be quite different than those which you used to foster before. New approaches to research with a strong interface between science, decision makers, and policy and business. This is the key point. The institutional innovation is actually one of the big challenges for all of us. New approaches to capacity building, education, exchange of knowledge, communication, governance. When innovation based in local needs, something which you have to go from the base. We have to go into many tools to understand the adaptive cycles of all those things. We have to understand how the things are going from one period to the other in the area. We have to know what kind of people, the trajectories of the persons which are involved, and all the policies possible. So we need more studies aiming to understanding multifunctional performance of agroforest systems along the time. And this is not, we don't have much studies in this way, at least in my country. At this point, we are thinking in one, although we are in a very urgent agenda, we have to think about transition process, and not just transition processes associated to environment quality and productive systems. This is important. But we have to think about some perspectives associated to agroecological transition levels, for instance, which you can go into steps, changing the components of systems, the arrangements, changing the connectivity between the producer and the consumer, but strongly we have to think about social and political ecological transitions, which these are the motors of the transforming scenarios. And we have to recover socio-cultural dynamics centered in social cooperation, social participation, sustainable management of common assets, which are key factors in this moment of climate change. Also, transition to social sustainability. So this transition process might be a key in many agendas. And to do that, we are needing also to change a lot our character of disciplinarity. So we are coming from one situation of monodisciplinarity, multidisciplinarity, pluridisciplinarity, interdisciplinarity, but the moment asks us something more, which is associated with transdisciplinarity, just to tackle all those big challenges and also take opportunities of exchange experience with the other, but mainly we have to do this with people which is outside the research institutions, the people who are needing our results. So this is a key point for reaching this challenge. Thank you.